So, we live... Can I say this? Okay, no, I won't. Okay, so we're going to apply Kant's moral test in one of the scenarios I gave in Module 1. And then I will now start asking you guys questions that you answer in your minds. So I'm going to apply the test to, out of each man, who was the man who was there, who was just a career person, an officer, sending the Jews to the concentration camps. Of course, if everyone decides to do that thing he did, if everyone decides to support Nazi Germany to the extent to which he did, the world will be a better place. And that is one of the reasons why when we have conversations about that war or about genocide, sometimes we sit down and we begin to make political statements. We begin to say things that, that are so ideological and theoretical. We have no practical experience of war or evil. And what happens is that when it comes close to us, then sometimes we realize that at the end of the day, we are not just fools, but we are ignorant. So when you find yourself in such situations, I remember where 2 years ago, it's just interesting. We lost someone when I say we, I mean me and a couple of my friends, we lost someone to cancer. And we were talking about, how deadly cancer was. And I think someone made a comment which was, at the end of the day, everybody will die, so why is this a big deal? Something around those lines. And it got to us because we were like, even if whatever the case, that is true, which is, of course, everybody's going to die, but why would one make such a comment? Why would one make such a statement? Why would one treat humanity as though it's just, we are here today and we'll be gone tomorrow? We know that. But those statements that we make in those times, if everyone decides to shun empathy, shun emotional intelligence, and just be logical all the time, we're just going to be logical and stick to the fact, are we really going to have a better world? So, it's interesting. I'm being tempted to talk about some current affairs, but I don't want to. Because again, we're not here to give you opinions, we're here to show you different perspectives and let you do the thinking. You see, I'm going to say this actually. Because the last killings that happened in Jos, I had a friend who was very close to me, and she lost her friend. And we were trying to console, we sent money, and it was just so sad. And I got online, and I saw a particular popular person, I would keep the person's name, that says, these killings are not true. They are just there to make the government look bad. They are just wrong. It's not true. These things are, the AI and whatever the hell he said. And I sat down because I was in the car there and I was in Uber. And I said, that's just an ignorant statement to make. Because again, I know the people I know at least 2 people who were murdered. And whatever the case, if you have some inside knowledge that makes, okay, these killings are happening to make the government look bad, is that a statement to make at that time? If everyone decides to be unempathetic as you are, would that make the world a better place? So when you're on social media and you are doing your social media banter, always remember and think about this precisely. If everyone decides to say the thing I'm about to say, would the world be a better place? Now, that takes me to keeping the light on. Like I said, good and evil and the fading light. The light has to be always on in your head. You have to always have clarity. You have to always think about your thoughts. You have to make sure that when there's an authoritative figure, office, institutions, when there are peer pressure, people telling you forcing you to act in a certain way. Some of us, we just take ideologies because we hear people say it. You have a celebrity that you love and cherish, and the celebrity says the sky is red, and you accept. You don't care to check. There are no thinking. There are no thoughts behind your head to say, okay, maybe what if this guy is wrong? Can I do my own personal research? That's the ability. The ability to think is one thing that we as black people, we as Africans, we must have. Even scripturally, even when we go into scripture, God doesn't just give us an absolute command for us to follow him, but he shows us the reason why. He lays out the blueprint. But we find ourselves having come far away from slavery, where we are being held in chains and shipped to Europe and to the Americans. We still find ourselves in slave mentality, where because a particular group of people have said something, we decide to adopt things that are not ours. So there has to be a universality test. There has to be a thinking that goes into it. We have found ourselves accepting things that are antithetical, first to our culture, first to our person, and first to the faith that we even claim to have. So I want to close this session and this particular module by being practical. Because the good, evil, and the fading light is not just a description of historical disasters, of which we have seen, and I don't want to bore you with that. When we talk about light fading, it fades in the office where people go along with decisions they know they are wrong, because speaking up feels too costly. It fades in teams where culture of compliance has slowly replaced the culture of honest conversations. Now I'm going to stay here a little bit. We find ourselves being more eager to comply than to have honest conversations. And we're going to speak about the head mentality in Module 3, where we talk about people feel protected being in the head. If they say everybody should go left, you all will go left, because going right makes you stand out, makes you vulnerable. Yes, that is a human instinct. It's a human instinct to want to be with the crowd because you feel protected by the crowd. But the people who have made great changes, when you look at the Martin Luther Kings, when you even look at the Saint Martin Luther, when you look at Malcolm X, when you look at people who make great changes like Alexander Nixon, these people stood up and spoke against what felt should be normal. So we almost, unknown to us, think we are independent in our thinking, but quite frankly, we are not. I don't know how true this is, but someone was telling me that the idea of eating 3 times a day was a propaganda that was pushed on us by some fast-moving goods company to increase their revenue. But if that is the case, then imagine how much we have been conditioned to believe the things we believe. When the president of America, Donald Trump, made the tariff thing last year, we saw a lot of Chinese TikTok accounts posting how most of the luxury goods that we buy come from China. But the truth about it is that all our life, we believe that China makes fake products. All our lives. Now, again, thank God to the advent of the internet, we're able to cut through those media, those structured media, to see them for who they really are. Well, it fades in system where the pressure to perform, to conform, to belong has gradually eroded the space for individual moral judgment. So, Kant gives us 3 questions, and I've explained this. The first question is the universality test, which is, could I will? That means whenever you find yourself in pertinent situations like this, ask yourself this question, could I will that everyone in my position did this? If the principle behind your actions could not be implied universally, without creating a world you would find unjust or harmful, then stop. If what you're doing, if everyone does it, and the world becomes harmful by that very action, then we advise to stop. The light is telling you something, and listen to it. So we all have a moral compass in our hearts, a conscience, that guides us in answering this question. The second question Kant tells us to answer is the humanity test. Am I treating the people affected by this decision as full human beings, or as obstacles, numbers, or a means to an end? Joseph Stalin said, a single death is a mother, a million deaths is just statistics. And if you drill deep into that, what he means by that, you see that what he basically was said that we would mourn, is you are more likely to mourn one person that is close to you that died. But when 1,000,000 people dies, it's just a normal, another day in this battle of life. The third question that Kant emphasizes for us is the thoughtlessness test. Am I using the pressure of this situation, the group, the authority, the role, the system, these are the pressure points, as a reason not to think? If yes, that is the light is fading. Are you complying to a particular system? Are you complying to a particular rule? Because there are pressure. There's a certain level of pressure, a certain level of expectation, either due to your class, due to your cultural background or social background. They expect you to act in a certain way.